Today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 1, text 45 to 48. So I just read this one quickly, okay, and then we can do the shlok on the board. I'll just read the translation, okay? As your sister, this poor girl Devaki is like your own daughter and deserve to be affectionately maintained. You're merciful and therefore you should not kill her. Indeed, she deserves your affection. That's text 45. 46 is, Sukadev Goswami continued, O best of the Kuru dynasty, Kamsa was fiercely cruel and was actually a follower of the Rakshasas. Therefore, he could be neither pacified nor terrified by the good instruction given by Vasudeva. He did not care about the result of his sinful activities, either in this life or in the next. Text 47. When Vasudeva saw Kamsa was determined to kill his sister, Devaki, he thought to himself very deeply. Considering the imminent danger of death, he sought for another plan to stop Kamsa. There's a small purport here. Although Vasudeva was the imminent danger, also Vasudeva saw the imminent danger that his wife Devaki would be killed. He was convinced of his welfare, because at the birth of demigods had played drum and kettle drum. He therefore attempted another way to save Devaki. So now we come to verse 48. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. As long he has intelligence and bodily strength, an intelligent person must try to avoid death. This is a duty of every embodied person. But if death cannot be avoided in spite of one's endeavors, a person facing death commit no offense. Purport. It is natural for a person facing untimely death to try his best to save himself. This is one's duty. Although death is sure, everyone should try to avoid it and not meet death without opposition because every living entity, every living being's soul is by nature eternal. Because death is a punishment imposed in the condemned life of material existence. The Vedic culture is based on avoiding death. Tvakta deham purna janma naiti. Everyone should try to avoid death and rebirth by cultivating spiritual life and should not submit to death without struggling to survive. One who is not trying to stop death is not an intelligent human being, because Devaki was face to face with imminent death. It was Vasudeva's duty to save her, as he was trying his best to do. He therefore considered another way to approach Kamsa, so that Devaki would be saved. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshuru Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Before I start, I would like to take blessing from the Vaishnava to please bless me so I can say something beneficial and, anyway, we'll try something. I have a few passage from Bhagavatam itself, because this is the ecstasy of Srila Prabhupada, his purport. And I feel, as me, I can talk a lot, but I think we read Prabhupada purport and his translation will give us, which is connected to this verse. I think that would be nice. But in this scenario here, you can see, usually marriage is a big thing for everybody's life, and Devaki, she just got married and she was just, she was very fun. Kamsa was, she was very fun for Kamsa, Kamsa liked her sister very, very much. Because of this fondness for her, that's why he's trying to take her to her new husband's house. And, he was doing that, but then the Akashvani came and everything changed. And At that time, Kamsa, as a great Rakshasa and great demon, they're very impulsive. They cannot see whether his sister, daughter, son, in the case of Hiranyakashipu, he was put in so many trial and tribulation because his father was a great Rakshasa and he was trying, he was a devotee of the Lord. So in this you can see the demonic nature of the Rakshasa. They're very impulsive and they will, anything that comes in between them and their sense gratification, immediately they'll try to do anything, even adharmic. And that's why exactly what Kamsa was doing here. Now soon he heard this Akashvani. Immediately he grabbed his sister in one hand. Can you imagine the scene? Going in the chariot, driving one hand, grabbing her hair, and the other hand is so in his hand, ready to kill. But then Vasudeva, who was the husband, he was the husband of Devaki, and he tried to play the duty of a good husband to protect his wife. In so many different ways, he was trying to preach to Kamsa, but Kamsa was so angered, he just couldn't hear the good counsel of Vasudeva. We come to that point when, he just didn't have any other. We come to that point now. There's no other way for him to save Devaki. And then he had to say, okay, you're worried about death, but it's only my eighth child is going to kill you. But I give you my promise that each child that will be born, I'll bring them to you. It is said that Vasudeva was Satyavati, he kept his promise. As a devotee, we have this, we are honest, we have this, good qualities that if we give a promise, you keep it. So even Kamsa was a great Rakshasa. He could understand that Vasudeva has his good qualities. Even though he's Rakshasa, he can see the good qualities of Vasudeva, that he will keep his promise. On that basis, he agreed to let Vasudeva go and not kill Devaki. So he will bring each child, to Kamsa. So in that context, I want to say something about, like I already said, that devotees, like Kamsa, Vasudeva, he was trying to protect his wife in so many different ways. And I think that's very important for us to take a lesson, for grihastas who is married, to make sure that the wife are well taken care of. And there's, as in everybody's life, there's trial and tribulation. And it's not only the husband can protect the wife, but the wife also should protect the husband in different ways. And also in this scenario, you can see Vasudeva and Devaki, they are great devotee of the Lord. They're supposed to be the Supreme Personality of God. They're going to be their child. They perform great tapasya to come here. So in this context, you can see that as devotee as well, Vasudeva was doing his duty to protect his wife. So we should be very, we take lesson from this. Sometimes devotees, will come through some difficulties in their spiritual practices. So we should be there to, to help them in different way. Or we're going through some difficult practices, in our devotional life. Then if a devotee approach you and try to help, you'll never forget this devotee for the rest of your life. Because that devotee has come, he has dropped everything and has come for your rescue. And I think this is very important that we don't take each other for granted. We should honor each other, we should love each other, we should care for each other. And if we do that, this will be Vaikuntha. There's no anxiety, but devotee, we do, we have, Maya is very strong. Sometimes there is challenges in devotee's life. But if you have the support, you have the support of devotees, then you're safe. That's what I was trying to say. And in this context, you can see that Vasudeva, as a husband, any devotee, he's trying his best level to give protection to Devaki. And and also you can see as when you have a brother which is not really a devotee. He comes here with a big demon, and he just didn't think whether this is my sister. This is her day of a marriage. I should take her home and, settle her down nicely with her new home and a husband. But he just couldn't think like that. He was very impulsive and trying to, kill Devaki. And also you can see in the story of Hiranyakashipu, it's a different thing because Prahlad was a devotee of Lord Vishnu. But there, Hiranyakashipu, he has made Vishnu his enemy because Lord Vishnu killed his brother, Hiranyaksha. So because of that, he has created great enmity toward Lord Vishnu. And when Prahlad became a great devotee of Lord Vishnu, he was put in so many trial and tribulation just because of his faith, because he worshipped Lord Vishnu. In that sense, we can see demons, they're very harsh, they're very difficult, and they're very impulsive. They don't think about the consequences that will happen to them. And in that part, I would like to read to you a little bit in over here. Prayers by the demigod. Okay, let's go this one here. And also in this purport, Srila Prabhupada was talking about that one has to, make sure when death comes, one has to stop death in a different ways. And as devotee, we understand, we have the knowledge that we're not this body, we're spirit, soul, eternal servant of Krishna. But if we don't use this human form of life in a conducive way to attain the Supreme Lord's eternal lotus feet, then we have misused this human form, and we are the killer of the soul. So in this, I find this beautiful text, translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. It's Canto 10, Chapter 2, Text 30. Here it is said, the translation is that what, for a devotee to transcend death, he has to have the mercy of the Lord, and he has to have the mercy of the devotees and the previous acharyas for us to make that journey. And we were very lucky to have met in different form, different ways through Prabhupada books to give us that shelter, to make us understand that don't misuse this human form of life. So I want to read to you, with your permission, this if you don't mind. And Srila Prabhupada is talking about how to cross the birth and death situation here. Okay, here's this translation. O lotus eyes, Lord, by concentrating one's meditation on your lotus feet, which are the reservoir of all existence, man accepting those lotus feet are the boat by which to cross the ocean of nations, one follow in the footsteps of Mahajan, great sage, saint and sages and devotees. By the simple process, one can cross the ocean of nations as easily as one step over the footprint of a calf. A purport by Srila Prabhupada. The true mission in life is to cross the ocean of nations, of repeated birth and death. Those in darkness of ignorance, however, do not know this mission, instead being carried away by the wave of material nature. Prakriti kiryamanani gunai karmani sarvasaha. They are undergoing the tribulation of mitru samsara vartani, the repeated birth and death. But person who have achieved the knowledge by the association of devotees follows the Mahajan Mahakritana. Such a person always concentrates his mind on the lotus feet of the Lord and execute one or more of the 9 varieties of devotional services, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam. Simply by this process, one can cross the unsurmountable ocean of nations. Devotional service is powerful in any form, Sri Vishnu Swavani. This is Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 12265. According to this verse, Maharaj Parikshit became liberated by fully concentrating his mind on hearing the Lord's holy name, attribute and pastime. Similarly, Sukadeva Goswami simply glorified the Lord, and by speaking on the subject matter of Krishna, that constituted the entire Srimad Bhagavatam, he too was liberated. One may also be liberated simply by Sankhya, friendly behavior with the Lord. Such is the power of devotional service, as we learn from the example by the Lord's many pure devotees. We have to follow in the footsteps of such devotees. For this one easy process, one can cross a great ocean of nations, just as one might cross a small hole created by the hoof of a calf. Here the Lord is called Ambujaka, as lotus eyes. By seeing the eyes of the Lord, which is compared to lotus flowers, one becomes so satisfied that one does not want to turn his eye to anything else. Simply by seeing the transcendental form of the Lord, a devotee at once fully absorbed in the Lord's in his heart. This absorption is called samadhi. A yogi is fully absorbed in the thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He has no other business than to think of the Lord always within his heart. For one who has accepted the boat of the lotus feet of the Lord, who is a shelter of the cosmic manifestation and is famous as Murari, the enemy of the demon Mura, the ocean of material world is like the water contained in a calf footprint. His goal is Parampadam, or Vaikuntha, the place where there are no material miseries, not the place where there is danger at every step. Bhagavad Gita 10:14-58. This process is recommended here by authorities like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, and therefore we must take to this process in order to transcend nations. This is very easy, but we must follow in the footsteps of great personalities, and then success will be possible. In regard to this word, Mahat Ketena, it is also significant that process showed by great devotees is not only for them, but also for others. If things are made easy, this effort facility for the person who has made them easy, and also for others who follow the same principle. This process recommended in this verse for crossing the ocean of nations is easy, not only for devotees, but also for the common person who follow the devotees. Mahajano yena gata sampata. You can see this is beautiful. I think this was connecting to the verse that, how do, for when there's birth, there's death. We cannot avoid this. And there's with death. If you haven't used this human form properly in the Lord's service and meditating on the Lord, performing the 9 process of devotional service, you will have a birth again. But if you have dedicated this life in the Lord's service and perfect your life in this human form, you can achieve the lotus feet of the Lord. So, and I feel this was it was connecting to this verse. And also, I want to add something about the demoniac nature. Like Kamsa, he was straight away, he wanted to kill his sister as soon there was some problem there. But if you see the life of my Parikshit Maharaj, that's why we got this Bhagavatam, because he was cursed by Shringi to die in 7 days. He didn't, make a big noise. He didn't curse because he was the emperor of the world. He could have done anything he wanted. But he accepts this as a devotee. He's very composed, equiposed, and he accepts this is the Lord's, has his hand in this. So he 7 days only he had, and he wanted to perfect his life in that 7 days. But by what? How did he perfect his life? Through hearing Bhagavatam for 7 days. And from the great devotee, Sukadeva Goswami. So this was very, and I find this is very important, that I've seen devotee who was very sick, who had not many days to live. And while I was living in Vrindavan, I've seen so many devotees come to Vrindavan, they have a month, they have a 2 months, they have 1 year to leave their body. How did, they completely, change the perception, how they just completely dedicate their life in hearing and chanting of the holy name. But not on their own. There's also devotees helping those devotees, who is leaving their body. That's why devotees association, devotee help, we cannot do it on our own. We always need the shelter of devotees to help us on our journey. And not only, we also should, always think that devotees should help us. We also should be available all the time to be able to help anybody, Anyone who walks through this door, they are the Lord's guests that walk through our gate. And we have to make sure that when they leave, they have a very good Krishna conscious experience. So that will bring them back to the lotus feet of Krishna. We have a great responsibility toward this. And I just wanted to share this, that devotee, when there's trial and tribulation in their life, they don't act in impulse. And, sometimes you hear people, oh God, what did you do this to me? I've been a good person for all these years now, why, I've been paying my tax, I've been doing this, I've been doing that. But at the end, when some calamities face them, they start blaming God. But in a devotee's life, we know that not even a blade of grass moves without the Lord's sanction. So if something happened in your life, you have to see it as a blessing, not as a curse. So like Parikshit Maharaj, when this happened in his life, he understands that I have to just drop everything. I'm not the emperor of the world anymore. Shravanam Kirtanam. He was just listening, and Sukadev Goswami was reciting the whole Bhagavatam, and he purified. In one point, it is said that he didn't even have a sip of water. And I was reading, and he said that he didn't have a sip of water because of this water, he went to the ashram of the Brahmana, because he was not being received properly. He put the snake around the Brahmins. He was cursed by Shringi. So you understand that there's some kind of penance he has to do as well, but to purify himself. And I want to read you something a little bit. Is that okay if I read something? I like Prabhupada's purport, and I like Prabhupada's translation. You can have, this is my shelter, and I like to share it. We can talk for a long time, but what Prabhupada said is the most effective for me. And this is verse 31. O Lord, who resemble the shining sun, you're always ready to fulfill the desire of your devotees, and therefore you're known as a desire tree, Vanchakalpataru. When acharyas completely take shelter under your lotus feet in order to cross the fierce ocean of nations, they leave behind on earth the method by which they can cross. They cross, and because you are very merciful to your other devotees, you accept message to help them. And this is showing you that the acharyas, the other one also, by the Lord's mercy, they show us the method that how we can get out of this material world. This statement, purport, this statement reveals how the merciful acharyas and the merciful Supreme Personality of Godhead together help the serious devotees who want to return back home, back to Godhead. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his teaching to Rupa Goswami said, one can achieve the seed of bhakti lata, devotional service, by the mercy of Guru and Krishna. The duty of the Guru is to find the means, according to the time, the circumstances, and the candidate, by which one can induce to render devotional service, which Krishna accepts from a candidate who wants to be successful in going back home, back to Godhead. After wandering throughout the universe, a fortunate person within this material world seeks shelter of such a guru or acharya who train the devotee in the suitable ways to render service according to the circumstances, so that the Supreme Personality of Godhead will accept the service This makes it easier for the candidate to reach the ultimate destination. The acharya duty, therefore, is to find the mean by which devotee can render service according to references from Shastra. Rupa Goswami, for example, in order to help subsequent devotees, published such a devotional book, Bhakti Rasa Mita Sindhu. This is a duty of the acharya to publish book that will help future candidate to take up method of service and become eligible to return back to Godhead. By the mercy of the Lord, in our Krishna consciousness movement, this same path is being prescribed and followed. Thus, a devotee have been advised to refrain from 4 sinful activities. These are bona fide instruction, because in Western country, constant chanting is not possible. One should not artificially imitate Haridas Thakur. And I thought this is very important, because this is a month where we're distributing Srila Prabhupada books. And most of us who has come to Krishna consciousness is through Srila Prabhupada books, And I know I came to Krishna consciousness by reading Srila Prabhupada books. And for me it was very enlivening, because I remember my grandmother died in front of me. And I was like, well, she was fine 5 minutes ago. The body was moving. But what has left the body has made the body useless. I was very young, maybe 6, 7. I was very young. But this question was churning in my head for many, many years. My parents couldn't answer me. Nobody could answer my question. And I remember when I met the devotees, that was the very first question I asked. When somebody died, what happened? The body was gone. In 5 hours, you can't even keep the body in the house. But what happened? There must be this force in that body that have left that body. So then explain to me, chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita, how the body is temporary and the soul is eternal. And that's how my journey started in my Krishna consciousness. Everything makes so much sense. So this great, all this what we have is through our acharya, through our Prabhupada and our great acharya. So that's why we have to always, whenever their appearance and disappearance, we always have to honor them, because without the mercy, we cannot progress spiritually. We cannot move forward. So you have to, this is the month where we're going out distributing books. It's not any ordinary books. This book can change someone's life to stop this samsara, the birth and death. Stop this at the end of life, maybe not today, maybe tomorrow, they'll pick the book and they will understand, how to perfect this human form of life. Because this human form of life will not come again unless we use it to our benefit. To our benefit is to use it properly so we can achieve the Lord. We can achieve the Lord in this lifetime. It's not easy, but it can be done. On this, I want to share with you, it's nearly 8:20, I want to share with you, I don't know, I'm a heart patient. I told you that last time. I go to hospital very often for different check. And when I was in hospital about 2 weeks ago, I met this person. I went to see the lung specialist, and he had a lung transplant about 1 year ago. And we were talking, me, I'm very chatty, I like to talk to people. And I was asking him, what you're doing here and how. He was staying in the hospital for about 16 days. He just came out. He was going home. We were both waiting for transport. And all of a sudden I said, what happened to you? Why are you here? And then he explained he had a lungs transplant. The next word he said, I had a second chance in this lifetime. And I take the opportunity to say something and I said to him, the opportunity, you have a second chance, don't misuse a second chance that the Lord has given you. And then I said, I said, this body is temporary. And then I started preaching a little bit and about the body and the soul. And then I never carry Bhagavad Gita with me. That day, I don't know why I put a pocket Bhagavad Gita this small in my bag. And then I was preaching to him about the body and the soul. And then I said, I can show you chapter 2, with the Lord talk about this. I opened the book, the same slok came about changing bodies. And I gave it to him, he was reading. He picked the book and he was reading. And then I explained to him also, when the state of mind you leave your body, that state you will achieve. If you have dedicated your life in the Lord's service, the Lord will always protect you. And he gave his promise, he never let his devotee down. And then I said, there's another shloka in Bhagavad Gita. I opened Bhagavad Gita, exactly that same, what state of mind you leave your body, that's how you're going to attain. And then I said, you know what? We have many books. He has his laptop with him. And I said, we have many books. Can you put a search on Bhagavad Gita as it is? And by Srila Bhakti, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Well, he had all the books, And one of the books he picked was The Second Chance. The Ajamil one. We had the second chance to perfect his life. He said to me, I want to read this one. And I said, yes, this is a very important book as well. But if you want more answers, you should start by Science of Realization. Life come from life, the small books. And we had a long conversation, and he said, I was being dropping. Then he said, can I have your email address? I said, yeah, we can keep in touch like that. So we swapped email address. And then the same night, he sent me an email. And then I would like to share this with you. Dear Mrs. Charleston, thank you so much for the wonderful advice that you gave me about Krishna and the Bhagavad Gita. It is always exciting to talk one such as yourself, open to matters of faith and spirit. I have downloaded these 3 books and will start at the Second Chances initially. I would very much appreciate if you could let me know of a couple of books which you mentioned that would ideal to read first before the more advanced book, because it's so Bhagavatam, CC, And then I said, okay. I firmly believe that the way to peace spiritually and its stronger faith is an ongoing calling of life, and that nobody's of text from a one speaks faith cover the truth behind the veil completely. That's the best path of this truth. Certainly for me is to read many books from many faiths and let my inner spirit with God guidance in my heart find my own personal path using those truths which are to me fundamental and often common to many different faiths. I hope and pray that your health will improve, that the side effect which mentioned will reduce. Medical progress today's world is developing at a very fast rate. So please remember, as my brother kept telling me, persevere and do not ever give up. As we agreed, this life is about learning to be more spiritual. So it is worth learning as long as one can. And also because I could see he doesn't look very well. And I was telling him that you should have a very good diet, very wholesome diet. I explained about we are vegetarian, we don't take all this stuff, but we have a very, very, we take pearls, we take, rice. We have a very balanced diet. Then he said to me, thank you also for your kind offer to stay in touch and also perhaps to send me some recipes for better diet. I would be extremely grateful if I could perhaps make a sauce to have with the kidney beans and haricot beans, which my brother often cooked. I look forward in remaining in touch with you again. Thank you for your advice, Jonathan Lyon from the Haifel Hospital. And I thought that was very powerful because he was very open. So we have many people like that. It was just a casual sitting down, talking to someone, and just taking interest in someone's life. You make such a difference. You just give a few minutes of your time to someone, and you learn so much about that person. What happened, he could have sit next to me, I could have do my thing, stay in my little bubble. But if, as a devotee, you have to take every opportunity for preaching. Just by him holding the Bhagavad Gita, even I was called to do something to get my medication. When I came, he was, reading Bhagavad Gita, from one shlok to the other. And I felt, his journey has started. And so devotees, we have to take an opportunity to give Krishna to others. And Srila Prabhupada has done this through so many trials and tribulations, so many difficulties, but he never gave up. So also we should try to abide this principle in our life, not to give up. Like Vasudeva didn't give up to protect Devaki. He tried everything to protect her. So we should also have this mentality how we should always try to help the fallen soul outside tried to bring them to Krishna. That's why Prahlad Maharaj, I was reading this book by Shiram Swami, and explained that, the reason this conversation between Durvasha Muni and Lord Narayan, and Lord Narayan was glorifying his amazing devotee Prahlad Maharaj. He said, on my behalf, to propagate the holy name of the Lord, Prahlad Maharaj took so much trial and tribulation on my behalf, but he never gave up. In school, he was preaching to his mate, to his friend in the Gurukul. Even with his father, he never saw, he was not scared, he was fearless as a preacher. So that's why Prahlad Maharaj is one of the best devotee, and the Lord has tears in his eyes. And he said, because of Prahlad Maharaj, I was the god for Bali Maharaj, because of the connection of, Prahlad Maharaj to Bali Maharaj. So you can see, when the Lord favor his devotees and also devotee had to really make sure that they are like Prahlad Maharaj, not fearless and never gave up in the practice of their Krishna consciousness, and never afraid, and to be merciful, compassion. That's what Srila Prabhupada had for us. His compassion, his mercy, his kindness, to save us from the great ocean of samsara, which we're all drowning in, Anyway, I'll stop here. If you have any comments, I'll take, please, any correction. And you want to add anything, please do. And thank you for your attention. And Hare Krishna.